This thing, man. Damn. Buenos dias, buenos dias. Wake up, wake up. Love is so natural. Listen twice, speak once. Omni Cosme. How you doing? Buenos dias. So I'm gonna get started inmediatamente, right away. Because I got some projects lined up that I'm gonna do. Hello, hi, buenos dias. Come on in, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So today is Soulful Saturday. Got some stuff for you. Before we're gonna finish Joshua today, definitely. All right. But before that, I was curious about what the names meant in the letters of the Bible. Like what the name meaning is. Every name has a meaning, right? Do you know that? Here's the meaning. Matthew means in Hebrew, gift of God. Mark in Latin means warlike, dedicated to Mars. Luke is Greek, light, the bright one. So I think that we get Lucifer as Luke. He's the light bearer, it says right there. John is in Hebrew means God is gracious. Genesis, I think everybody knows that if you read the Bible. Greek beginning or origin, and it's Greek. It's a Greek word. So it's beginning or origin of that beginning. Jesus in Hebrew is the Lord saves. That's what Jesus means in definition that I found. If you know different, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Come on in. Love you so natural. Listen twice and speak once. We got Moses. Moses in Hebrew means to draw out or son of. So that's a little bit of tidbit information I wanted to share with you. I was just curious about it since I was going through the Bible and wonder what these names mean. Let me look up Joshua since we're reading Joshua. I think it's in there, but I'm not doing notes on the Bible. I'm just gonna find out here. Let's see. So Joshua, meaning of the name Joshua. Okay, here we go. See what we get. So Joshua is derived from the Hebrew name Yehoshua. It is a combination of two elements. Yeho, a prefix referring to Yahweh, or the master of all masters, the name of God in the Hebrew Bible. Shua, a root meaning to save, help, or deliverance. So that's what Joshua means. People I like, look it up, say it in Spanish, Josue. In Italian is Josue. In French is Josua. Thank you. What's happening, man? How are you? Prehistoric Nerd, what's going on? Dash B. Buenos dias. And then nickname would be Josh. So there you go. Typed it in. Meaning of the name Joshua. Got some data right there. Could be wrong. If I am, let me know. I'm studying this in the raw. This is not edited, obviously. It's live. So I got today's Soulful Saturday. Let me start off with morning affirmation. Okay, here it is. Today I release the pressure to be productive and embrace the permission to just be. Just be. Relax yourself. Take it in. Usually breathe out my nose, but I'm still congested. Still a little sick. Trying to get, not to say that, but it is right now. So just be today. Just chill. Right? It's your day. Meditate. Pray. Just relax. Turn off all the stuff if you can. Oh, you're here now, but when you can, get some you time. Some, at least 15, 20 minutes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Megan Villaplando. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Te agradezco. Thank you so much if you speak Spanish. If not, thank you. So here's a good one. I listen to the quiet whispers of my soul. So in order for you to do that, you got to listen. Sit there. Close your eyes. And just, the first thing, gracias. The first thing to do that is respirar and vision your breathing. You got to vision your breathing. You got to be able to get like a map of the body, del cuerpo, y mira, so para que tú puedes visionar por dónde entra el aire o por dónde pasa. Ya tú sabes que entra por aquí, pero por dónde pasa. Y imagínatelo. Y focate solamente en eso. Just focus on your breathing. And if you can do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Don't time yourself. Because when you time yourself, then you're going to limit yourself. So try to just sit there in calmness, peace, for as long as you can, really. For as long as you can. If you got children and cats and, that kind of stuff going on, a husband or a wife, then, you got to set some boundaries like, hey, this day I want to do this. I want to self-reflect, align, and teach them how to do it as well. If you get there's a lot of YouTube meditation methods. You can get guided. You can get just music, which is good. So take the time today. Soulful Saturday. Let's get in within our soul. Dump the TVs. Dump all of that stuff. Spend time by read a book. Read the Bible. And just try to listen. That's it. That's for today. Cool. So you move through the day with softness and grace, just listening, appreciating, gratitude. Not so much external, but more within. Your synchronicity, the conversation with yourself, just even hearing the breath of the Almighty just surging through your physical, giving you that life. And you can find a posture if a posture is important to you. It should be important because it does really regulate how that energy goes down the tree of life into your base, past into the base of your legs and up. You can find someone on YouTube that can help you with that learning. If not, just hear your breath. I don't recommend putting on headphones, if it's your first time. Meditating, it should be a place where you're by yourself with no distractions, music included. And if you hear something else, if you hear like anything, a child yelling, don't stop and say, be quiet and go do, just let it go. Let it come back. You will be distracted. You hear a bird chirping or the dog barking, right? Somebody ringing the bell. It's just got to be a time when you set your boundaries around you, protect your aura. And, if you got to let people in your life know that, then do so. And then go ahead and do it. So that's what Soulful Saturday is all about. I'm coming on here. I've been up but I got some good sleep. So the rest of it is, I am worthy of peace exactly as I am. All right, so here's a good step. So if you have coffee or tea, hold the coffee or tea like this. Feel the warmth, right? Just feel the warmth. Breathing causes a lot of things. First of all, it helps you with your health. And it helps you learn how to control almost anything internally. Believe me, it's the breath of God. It's the breath of the Almighty. So if that's not good enough for you, and you can actually heal yourself, but that's another story. So try it. Try that. Another good thing is to set your boundaries on your digital, your phone, your computer. Try to find another room, if you can, away from monitors and anything that's emitting any magnetic frequencies, anything. And if you can go outside, even better. Oh, even better. I was just thinking about the park I've been going to, that I pass by every day to go to the lake. Very nice place. So if you can find an outside place that's close to you, depending on the weather, right? Apparently you're not gonna go outside in the winter if you're up north and it's raining, snowing like crazy. But if you can go outside and find yourself a nice, quiet spot where you won't be interrupted, I found a couple of those out here. Yeah, a couple of good places. Some of them have bad memories. Due to the fact that when I went, now I'm not gonna say bad memories, but just memories that I don't want to recall at this point in time. So I don't go there, and it's a little farther away from where I am. And right here, there's a whole big, huge park. I'm gonna go in there on Sunday and work out. I might televise that, or YouTubeavise that. So there's another good tip. So try to listen to sounds that you usually don't really pay attention to. So if you live in the south of the United States and you got some heat, or you got some good, some good weather, try to listen like to the birds, to the local animals. If you can go outside, I don't recommend to put on headphones, or even bring your cell phone. If you drive to the park, leave your cell phone in the car, and then go find yourself a nice spot. And you will see the huge difference in the peace that you will acquire. It's really, really breathtaking when you can do that, when you can realign yourself, and just listen to everything around you. Don't judge. Don't just empty your thoughts. What's going on? We're talking about meditation right now. We're gonna read the Bible a little later, just for understanding. Right now, I'm reading some good tips on self-meditation. Soulful Saturday, we call it. Love your soul, not your role. Love your soul, not your role. Listen twice and speak once. So that's what we're doing. Reconditioning. Thank you for asking. So listen to sounds that you don't normally pay attention to. And how can you do it? How can I don't pay attention to it. I don't. Ready? That's how you hear things that you don't pay attention to. Just turn everything off. Go out or go outside. And, you got a backyard, sit in your backyard, you got a porch, sit on your porch. You know, if you live in the city, of course you're gonna get, a lot of sound here, there, everybody's, So that's kind of difficult to do, but once you get to a certain level, that's gonna be nothing. But get yourself in a room where there's hardly no, or outside where there's hardly no, in a building or in a house where there's no sound, where there's no, because sound will definitely direct you all the time. Sound is one of the greatest powers next to light is sound. So if you can, turn off your phone, get out of that room that you have all computers in. And as you do so, just, it's not easy to empty your mind when you have all these other things around you that, pull at your strings. And I gotta do this, the babies, the kids, the husband, the wife, the rent, whatever. Try to kick all that out. I'm gonna tell you a secret. And it seems kind of, when I tell people this, and I haven't really told many people, but there is a meditation method where you can literally take, let's say, the number one thing that worries you the most. When you meditate and you ground, that's a whole different type of meditation. You take that object or that thing or that problem and you run it down your soulful pole, right? Your soulful connection to the center of the earth. Then you let it out. So in this area out here, and this is all imaginary, you gotta imagine this. Sometimes I use the Hulk. I'm not even gonna use him anymore. But, so, when he says Hulk smash, so whatever that issue is, whatever it is, the first one, the most important one. The first one is the most important one. Outside of you, some people will say your mortgage, your rent, your car note, your cell phone, your child support, your kids, your school payments, those kind of things that pull your strings. Dumping through that pole, through that string connection. But before you do so, you gotta put your name in golden letters. The pole should be a color that you like. I love green. But around it is a ribbon of my name. All the way down. A golden ribbon. Nice colors. And then whatever the tube will spit it out, you'll see it's gonna be there. Whatever that object is, your car. Let's say your car. Your car, and put the bill, the lease right next to it. If you're leasing or if it's rent to own, put both of them next. And then you take whatever type of destructive thing that you can find out. If you're a baseball player or if you're a basketball player, get a basketball player. Michael Jordan come in and grab that car like a ball and dunk it. And when he dunks it, it disappears. Grabs the bill, the document, dunks it, disappears. You can use all kind of things. Swords, guns, and you let it out. The next one. And I can attest to the fact that when I do that, I feel so much more light. And I do that very often. Well, I used to do it very often. I'm getting back into that. But that's a method of clearing your mind. And then you can meditate. And then you won't be so overwhelmed with things that really shouldn't overwhelm you. And you're gonna get to a point where you're just gonna operate on that level. Okay? Try that. So there's a couple of tips. Here's one thing that's really good for me as well. What is one thing your heart needs today that doesn't involve a to-do list? I don't think I have a to-do list that will satisfy my heart. But one thing I can say for myself is self-reflection, maybe from this past week and the week prior to, maybe. And look at things that I accomplished in those 2 weeks. I did this, and I write everything down on here. So if it's there, it's done. Learning is one of the things I like to do. What did I learn? What have I learned? Did I learn anything? Did I apply what I learned in my day-to-day life? Yeah. So if you find something that your heart needs, what do I need? No, I said that totally wrong, but I would say for me, I would say my heart needs. I already have peace. I would say my heart needs more more of me to pay attention to my heart, right? And I try to talk to my body as much as I can, but I would like to let my heart know that I love my heart. Love you, heart. Give it a hug, and we are cool. That's today's affirmation. That was pretty long, but again, we're gonna finish Joshua today. So let's do the Saturday quote. This is just a quote. Maybe I have a couple. Okay, here's a quote from this American author named Caroline Mace, which I'm going to look her up because she got some good stuff about what I'm dealing with, what I'm working with, the things I'm trying to find. So she's an American author, teacher, and internationally renowned speaker known for her work in the fields of human consciousness, spirituality, and energy medicine. A 5-time New York, I think I read that, but this is the quote for today. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. Caroline Mace. Mace is spelled Myss. And it's Caroline with an E at the end. I'm going to read it again. This is today's quote. Soulful Saturday quote. That's on my throat. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. Read it again. That's Carolyn Mace, American author, teacher, human consciousness and spirituality, and energy medicine. Those are her professions. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. Cool. All right, here's an extra. This is not really extra. It's become part of my morning routine, but let's check it out. So this is a poem that I generated that I thought about the details, and then Gemini AI cleaned it up for me. It's called The Quiet Anchor. That's the title of the poem. So let's start. The morning doesn't shout today. It hums a low and amber tune. The shadows stretch in silver gray. Okay. Beneath the pale and waning moon, the kettle breathes a plume of white. The dust motes dance in filtered beams. We trade the frantic edge of light for soft reflections and quiet dreams. No mountain peaks to climb by noon. No lists to check or races run. Just hours woven in a spoon and stillness warming in the sun with an M. Thank you. For here the heart finds room to beat, to listen to its own soft sound, to kick the shoes from tired feet and touch the piece of holy ground. And whatever ground you step on, you're making it holy. All right? It ain't, somebody put it there, you can step on it. You make it holy when you step on it. Oh, here's the last part, I think. Right? No, getting there. The soul exhales. The spirit mends. In moments reclaimed from the fray until the golden evening ends. A long and soulful Saturday. Okay, so that's it. Hope you liked it. Saturdays are often a bridge between the doing of the week and the being of the end of week. It says weekend. I don't like using that term because everything you say does will come to life. So think about. So I said, listen twice and speak once. Think about everything that you say, who you're interacting with yourself, things that you say about yourself. All of it, all of it is relevant. So I think we're done. Here's one thing that I have written down, and I want to read it to you. It's a lot, but I'm gonna read it. Heaven. The term heaven is complex because its meaning shifts between on whether you are looking at it through a theological, cosmological, or a metaphorical lens. At its core, it generally refers to a state or place of supreme happiness, divine presence, or transcendence. So that's, for me, that's relevant. So here's a breakdown of heaven and the different definitions depending on the context. So this is religion and theological definitions. In most theistic religions, heaven is the localized or spiritual dwelling place of the divine, God, the gods, or celestial beings in the ultimate afterlife for the righteous. Abrahamic faiths, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. It is viewed as a physical or spiritual realm where those who have lived according to God's will reside after death. It is characterized by the absence of pain, sin, and death, and the presence of eternal peace. That part I believe. The fact that they're saying that they all believe in the same place, but yet they're fighting each other about their philosophies, don't make no sense. Not to me. But it is a place of absence of pain, because this is what it's absent of. It's absent of the physical. That's it. And so I've astral plane. I told you guys this a lot. When I do that, there's no pain, there's no happiness, there's no sadness. It just is, which is heaven. Just saying, right? Okay. Now, if you get stuck in religion, of course you're gonna believe. Believe. You're not gonna know. That's the difference between spirituality and religion. I know. Been there, done that. Is that you are forced to believe because you don't read no. I know believers don't read the Bible. You know why? Because if you did, you'd have the same, not the same, but right about the same type of understanding that I have. Mina, the Persian prophet, check him out if you get a chance. I don't know. I was listening to him the other day, but in his writing, he says that the devil has to be the first part of the Old Testament, and not as an entity. I don't think that that's reality. I know it's not reality here. I know it does exist outside of here because I've been there, done that, seen it, dealt with it, felt it. But that's physical. It's an identity that's trying to tell you this is where you're living, this is your choice, and this is what comes with it in the spirit world. But once you go beyond that, ain't nothing you can't do. Like not come back. I don't want to come back here. This right here proves to me that I'm really I'm not feeling none of this stuff. Even though I'm going through it, it's an experience right now. I look at it as an experience. But while I was in it, it wasn't an experience. It was all kind of bad stuff. But anyway, my bumps on my lip. Okay. So it's the absence of pain, sin, and death, and the presence of eternal peace. Because you're not in the physical form anymore. But they don't want you to know that. They want you to pay them to continuously keep you in a state of confusion. so that they can get rich and you can stay poor, and you will not love your soul, and or you will not love your soul. And when you don't love your soul, that's when, how folks say, I sold my soul. You selling your soul when you're not trying to take care of your soul. How do you do that? How do you take care of your soul? What are you talking about, Omni? It takes practice to be by yourself. That's it. It's silence. That's all it takes. Cut the noise. Okay, so Eastern philosophies, while terms like nirvana, Buddhism, or moksha, Hinduism, are more common, they share the heavenly concept of liberation from the cycle of suffering and rebirth, reaching a state of perfect bliss and alignment and enlightenment. That says it right there, heavenly concepts of liberation from the cycle of suffering and rebirth. So that's telling you the cycle of suffering and rebirth are the same thing. If you rebirth, you're going to go back to the same cycle of suffering. And what feeds off of suffering? Parasites, which you all call demons. Demon outside of me. Demon's not outside of you. Demon's inside of you. Again, two different, dimensions, right? Those rules and laws don't apply to this place. But certain laws and rules that don't apply to that place. Two, cosmological and historical roots. The word originates from the Old English Heofon, Heofon, meaning the home of God, but also literally the sky or firmament, el firmamento. So el firmamento fue una separación de las aguas del mundo, entre medio que oxígeno para causar la muerte, porque uno tiene hierro en el cuerpo, y ese hierro cuando tú lo sacas, lo único que te ayuda con ese hierro es la sangre que te lubrica, pero como quiera va envejeciendo. You start getting old anyway. So oxygen is the cause of that oxidation, which causes death. So it says that the cosmological and historical roots of the word originates from the Old English Heofon, Heof as in Frank, O-N as in Nancy, meaning the home of God, but also literally the sky or firmament. So the firmament, I don't know if you know, H2O, not H2O. It's the oldest element in the universe. Let me see, what is it in my mind? Hydrogen. H2O. If you know what I'm doing there. So in ancient times, the heavens referred to everything above the earth, the sun, moon, and stars. This is why we still use the term heavenly bodies to describe planets and stars in astronomy. Listen what they're saying. You gotta just listen. Secular and metaphorical use. In every language, heaven is often used to describe a state of intense satisfaction or a perfect environment. Sensory bliss. This chocolate cake is absolute heaven. That's a good example. Ideal conditions. A quiet beach might be described as a slice of heaven because it provides a temporary escape from the stresses of life. There you go. Just wanted to share that. Something I picked up the other day. Just because I was doing some research. So We're going to go into the word. May the Almighty Creator give us understanding, as above, so below, as within, so without. May we be able to discern the words, the messages, the non-messages, the deceit and the truth. Praise be to the Almighty. Here we go. So I go to my Bible. I think we're doing 11, if I'm not mistaken. Go to the Bible. Yeah, Joshua 11, if you want to. Hello, Mimi Chabada, 1975. My year was before you, 1974. So what, you like 25 years old? Me too. Thank you for saying hello. I appreciate it. So we're going to start Joshua 11. Here we go. I'll show you where I got it. Right here. It's the NIV version, which is, if I got to say garbage, I'll say garbage. But they do have, if you press here, they do have the KJV. We can reference that. They have a lot of different versions. Tons. They have a lot of stuff. So anyway, I'm using this one because this was the book that was given to me by someone to help me study theology. So here it is. So it's a study Bible, which, you know, we already know what's going on with that. So here we go. Comment if you have any comments in the middle. If you have any questions about what we're listening to, please keep it focused on the book. Here we go. You ready? Wow. Here we go.
Joshua chapter 11. When Jabin, king of Hazor, heard of this, he sent word to Jobab, king of Madon, to the kings of Shimron and Akshah, and to the northern kings who were in the mountains in the Arabah south of Kinnereth, in the western foothills, and in Naphoth Dor on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, and to the Hivites below Hermon in the region of Mizpah.
When he started that narration, let me go back. So when Jabin, king of Hazor, heard of this, what he heard of the previous chapter, just to put some context on that, there were 5 Amorite kings killed by Joshua and his crew. Southern cities conquered by Joshua and his crew. So then comes northern kings defeated. So I guess those were the southern kings. So the southern kings, he defeated the southern kings. Thank you. That's a cute emoji. I don't even know what that is, but what's he doing? Is he saying hello? Bye? So just for some context. So this king heard about what he did. He was like, yo, hold up. There we go.
They came out with all their troops, and a large number of horses and chariots, a huge army, as numerous as the sand on the seashore. All these kings joined forces and made camp together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, because by this time tomorrow I will hand all of them, slain, over to Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and his whole army came against them suddenly at the waters of Merom and attacked them, and the Lord gave them into the hand of Israel. They defeated them and pursued them all the way to Greater Sidon, to Misrephoth Maim, and to the valley of Mizpah on the east until no survivors were left. Joshua did to them as the Lord had directed.
So from getting beat up, getting jumped, getting kicked out, not being promised and being abandoned by their God, they now become conquerors and mass murderers of communities as a whole. Like this, it tells you they destroyed everything when they got there. They didn't leave one thing. That means children, women, grandparents, babies, pregnant women. So I just want to go back to, this is chapter 16. I just saw something pretty interesting, but let's go back.
He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariot.
And again, I saw your emotion there. Let me look, just let me see. All right, it's the most previous one. I don't know what that is. Explain what is that? It's like a, yeah, if that's what I think it is. So the Old Testament is all about that. Getting kicked out, being lost for 40 years, and then becoming these invaders, basically, taking land that was given to them by their Lord. If it was given to me, why do I gotta go and fight for it? That doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm giving you something, just hear me out. This is logical, right? It's rational. Hey, I'm gonna give you this car, but just go. Even me telling you just go pick it up is not really giving it to me. Because what if I get there, or what if you get there and it wasn't true, or they didn't really recognize you, so you would call me, yo man, this guy, I say, yo, that's the person I said, oh okay, they'll give you the car, the title, whatever, right? That's not what happened here. Says, I'm gonna give you this land, but you gotta go, pillage and take and destroy it. But I'm gonna give it to you anyway. I have a problem with that.
At that time, Joshua turned back and captured Hazor and put its king to the sword. Hazor had been the head of all these kingdoms. Everyone in it they put to the sword. They totally destroyed them, not sparing.
That's a recurring because this book is all about war and conquering and destroying. So in every story that I've been reading in Joshua, even before that, more in Joshua, says that everyone, if they put everyone in it, they put to the sword. Everyone, there was nobody. They totally destroyed them, not sparing anyone that breathed, and he burned it. No, I know. We're just reading the Bible just to know that we read it, to know what's in there, just to know how it corresponds to me as an American Puertorriqueño, ¿verdad? And how it, resonates with what's going on today and people going to church and you too. Thank you. So, it's if you once you start reading the Bible, you're gonna get it, because you can't tell me you're gonna read the Bible and read these horrifying stories and say that it was okay because the Lord said so. That makes no sense. My Creator is loving. He's peaceful. He cares for me. I know that looked out for me, and I'm just using the term he because there's a meaning between he and her. Her is knowledge, and he is life. And both of them exist. So, you feel me? That's how it goes. Those are facts. So if you got to read this book, if you can get the Torah and read it, read it in the Hebrew language, you're going to have a much different perspective. You have to read other books as well. You can't just go, and of course, books were written by men. Who's relying on men's honesty when almost all men are deceitful and liars? So you got to take that into account and ask the Almighty for direction. All powerful, almighty, King of all kings, the Creator, please give me discernment, understanding, open my eyes and my ears so I can see and I can hear from the truth and the deception. I can distinguish between, and then read it. Read it. Get this app or another app. I don't know. And get the book corresponding to the app. And just take your time. We're gonna read the whole thing. Look, we're right here. We already read all this. That's the New Testament. But if we need more clarification, then we'll read it again and again. But I don't need any more clarification than what I have because I already know. If you know, you know. You know, you know. If you know, you know, you know. You do, and everybody does know. Genetically, it's built in you. If you've been taken away from your tribe, you know, and you're living in a diaspora, you're back and forth, but you believe in your nationality, which is also a social concept. But if you're able to do that and just ground yourself, align yourself right down the middle, there shouldn't be a difference from here or here. Okay. Bye. So there shouldn't be a difference. You shouldn't be confused, but you are. Most of us are, and that's on purpose. Right? The story is the history is told by the winner, not by the loser, and that's just facts. Like, you know, a deer got his back leg ripped off. He's not gonna say, "No, and I kicked him," and then you know what? Because the one who broke off his back leg is like, "What are you talking about, man?" And then he's gonna have to bow down. So, you know, in reflection of what it means to deal, you know, with me, and just me. Anybody else can do what you do. But here we go.
Anyone that breathed, and he burned Hazor itself. Joshua took all these royal cities and their kings and put them to the sword. He totally destroyed them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. Yet Israel did not burn any of the cities built on their mounds, except Hazor, which Joshua burned. The Israelites carried off for themselves all the plunder and livestock of these cities, but all the people they put to the sword until they completely destroyed them, not sparing anyone that breathed.
And there it is again, making a point to let you know that they got rid of everyone, took everything. You know, and if you're in geopolitics or if you see what the world's going through, same thing over and over and over again. It's never going to stop. Not if this God continues to be the God of this planet, which is it's always going to be that way. Oh, whatever you want to call it when you think you live, Terraria, La Tierra, whatever. But know that. So for you to escape the great deception is to maintain your alignment with the Most High. That's it. With the Most High. You have to kind of recondition the way you've been conditioned to think about spirituality, soul and mind and heart, physical, mental, visual, all of that stuff. Everything that was told to you is the reverse. Believe it. I've lived it. I've seen it. I've done it.
As the Lord commanded his servant Moses, so Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did it. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took this entire land, the hill country, all the Negev, the whole region of Goshen, the western foothills, the Arabah, and the mountains of Israel with their foothills, from Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir, to Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon below Mount Hermon. He captured
Just taking everything. Give me that.
all their kings and put them to death. Joshua waged war against all these kings for a long time. Except for the Hivites living in Gibeon, not one city made a treaty of peace with the Israelites, who took them all in battle. For it was the Lord himself who hardened their hearts to wage war against Israel, so that he might destroy them totally. exterminating them without mercy, as the Lord had commanded Moses. At that time, Joshua went and destroyed the Anakites from the hill country, from Hebron, Debir, and Anab, from all the hill country of Judah, and from all the hill country of Israel. Joshua totally destroyed them and their towns. No Anakites were left in Israelite territory. Only in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod did any survive. So Joshua took the entire land, just as the Lord had directed Moses, and he gave it as an inheritance to Israel, according to their tribal divisions. Then the land had rest from war. Joshua chapter 12. These are the kings of the land whom the Israelites had defeated, and whose territory they took over east of the Jordan, from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon.
So, like I said earlier, like I was saying earlier, the loser can't tell the story, right? So these are the kings of the land whom the Israelites had defeated. Yeah, he just said that. So they're going to let you know who they defeated. Now, these lands' names have changed. I don't know what they are. Really doesn't, I was born here in America. So that's where I'm from. The history of America is not that great either. And, none are. Sometimes these things need to happen. According to your hierarchy, where you stand, what you were given, what you thought you were given, what you thought people would need to give you.
Including all the eastern side of the Arabah. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon. He ruled from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, from the middle of the gorge, to the river Jabbok, which is the border of the Ammonites. This included half of Gilead. He also ruled over the eastern Arabah, from the Sea of Galilee to the Sea of Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, to Beth Jeshimoth, and then southward below the slopes of Pisgah. And the territory of Og, king of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephaites, who reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Salakah, all of Bashan, to the border of the people of Geshur and Maacah, and half of Gilead to the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites conquered them. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave their land to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, to be their possession. Here is a list of the kings of the land that Joshua and the Israelites conquered on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir. Joshua gave their lands as an inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their tribal divisions. The lands included the hill country, the western foothills, the Arabah, the mountain slopes, the wilderness, and the Negev. These were the lands of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. These were the kings. The king of Jericho, 1. The king of Ai, near Bethel, 1. The king of Jerusalem, 1. The king of Hebron, 1. The king of Jarmuth, 1. The king of Lachish, 1. The king of Eglon, 1. The king of Gezer, 1. The king of Debir, 1. The king of Gede, 1. The king of Hormah, 1. The king of Arad, 1. The king of Libnah, 1. The king of Adullam, 1. The king of Makkedah, 1. The king of Bethel, 1. The king of Tappuah, 1. The king of Hepher, 1. The king of Aphek, 1. The king of Lasharon, 1. The king of Madon, 1. The king of Hazor, 1. The king of Shimron Meron, 1. The king of Akshaph, 1. The king of Teanach, 1. The king of Megiddo, 1. The king of Kedesh, 1. The king of Jokneam in Carmel, 1. The king of Dor in Naphoth Dor, 1. The king of Goyim in Gilgal, 1. The king of Tirzah, 1. 31 kings in all. Joshua chapter 13. When Joshua had grown old, the Lord said to him, "You are now very old, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken over. This is the land that remains. All the regions of the Philistines and Geshurites, from the river Shihor on the east of Egypt to the territory of Ekron in the north, all of it counted as Canaanite, though held by 5 Philistine rulers in Gaza: Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The territory of the Avites on the south, all the land of the Canaanites, from Arah of the Sidonians, as far as Aphek and the border of the Amorites. The area of Byblos, and all Lebanon to the east, from Baal-Gad below Mount Hermon to Lebo Hamath. As for all the inhabitants of the mountain regions from Lebanon to Mishrephoth-Maim, that is all the Sidonians, I myself will drive them out before the Israelites. Be sure to allocate this land to Israel for an inheritance as I have instructed you, and divide it as an inheritance among the 9 tribes and half of the tribe of Manasseh. The other half of Manasseh, the Reubenites and the Gadites, had received the inheritance that Moses had given them east of the Jordan, as he, the servant of the Lord, had assigned it to them. It extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the middle of the gorge, and included the whole plateau of Medeba as far as Dibon, and all the towns of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon, out to the border of the Ammonites. It also included Gilead, the territory of the people of Geshur, and Maacah, all of Mount Hermon, and all Bashan, as far as Salakah. That is, the whole kingdom of Og in Bashan, who had reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He was the last of the Rephaites. Moses had defeated them and taken over their land, but the Israelites did not drive out the people of Geshur and Maacah, so they continue to live among the Israelites to this day. But to the tribe of Levi he gave no inheritance, since the food offerings presented to the Lord, the God of Israel, are their inheritance as he promised them. This is what Moses had given to the tribe of Reuben.
No, come on.
According to its clans.
Okay.
The territory from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the middle of the gorge, and the whole plateau past Medeba to Heshbon, and all its towns on the plateau, including Dibon, Bamoth Baal, Beth Baal Meon, Jehaz, Kedemoth, Mephaath, Kiriathaim, Sibmah, Zereth Shehar on the hill in the valley, Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth Jeshimoth. All the towns on the plateau, and the entire realm of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who ruled at Heshbon. Moses had defeated him and the Midianite chiefs, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, princes allied with Sihon, who lived in that country. In addition to those slain in battle, the Israelites had put to the sword Balaam, son of Beor, who practiced divination. The boundary of the Reubenites was the bank of the Jordan. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the Reubenites according to their clans. This is what Moses had given to the tribe of Gad according to its clans. The territory of Jazer, all the towns of Gilead and half the Ammonite country.
Who am I? Read the description if you get a chance.
As far as Aroer near Rabbah, and from Heshbon to Ramath Mizpah and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the territory of Debir. And in the valley, Beth Haram, Beth Nimrah, Succoth, and Zaphon with the rest of the realm of Sihon, king of Heshbon, the east side of the Jordan, the territory up to the end of the Sea of Galilee. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the Gadites according to their clans. This is what Moses had given to the half-tribe of Manasseh, that is, to half the family of the descendants of Manasseh according to its clans. The territory extending from Mahanaim and including all of Bashan, the entire realm of Og, king of Bashan, all the settlements of Jair in Bashan, 60 towns, half of Gilead and Ashtaroth and Edrei, the royal cities of Og in Bashan. This was for the descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, for half of the sons of Machir, according to their clans. This is the inheritance Moses had given when he was in the plains of Moab, across the Jordan east of Jericho. But to the tribe of Levi, Moses had given no inheritance. The Lord, the God of Israel, is their inheritance, as he promised them. Joshua chapter 14. Now these are the areas the Israelites received as an inheritance in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel allotted to them. Their inheritances were assigned by lot to the...
So here's a map of what he was just talking about. And then tells you right there, entry into Canaan, which is how this all started. And those are all the territories that were taken by the Israelites and totally destroyed. I want to see where's the Great Sea. That's not it. I think it's over here somewhere. Let's see. Where's this place at? I can't even find it on the map. But I'm looking. Wow. I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. Okay, so maybe it's here. Not even here. Let's see. So I gotta go. Finally. Okay, let's see. if I can find this other place, man. There we go. Crazy, man. I gotta find a different way to look for this place. Let me see. Door. No, that's not, doesn't exist anymore. How about Bethel? Wow. Okay, I think I found it. Hold on. Okay. So Jerusalem. There's no more Salt Sea? Okay. Bethlehem. Beersheba. Bethel. The Dead Sea. Well, I'm gonna let it go. Whatever he says. Okay, whatever. Let's continue trying to get this done.
Joshua chapter 14. Now these are the areas the Israelites received as an inheritance in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel allotted to them. Their inheritances were assigned by lot to the 9.5 tribes, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. Moses had granted the 2.5 tribes their inheritance east of the Jordan, but had not granted the Levites an inheritance among the rest. For Joseph's descendants had become 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. The Levites received no share of the land, but only towns to live in, with pasture lands for their flocks and herds. So the Israelites divided the land, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now the people of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea about you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land, and I brought him back a report according to my convictions. But my fellow Israelites who went up with me made the hearts of the people sink. I, however, followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So on that day Moses swore to me, 'The land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance, and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly.' Now then, just as the Lord promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years since the time he said this to Moses, while Israel moved about in the wilderness. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out, I'm just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there and their cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive them out just as he said. Then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. So Hebron has belonged to Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite ever since, because he followed the Lord, the God of Israel, wholeheartedly. Hebron used to be called Kiriath Arba, after Arba, who was the greatest man among the Anakites. Then the land had rest from war. Joshua chapter 15.
Another thing I feel that this explains that they so easily do is change their names. Like they change their names on a whim. You know, this person used to be called this, now this person's called that. Why is that? Because the names were either titles, and like I was reading earlier, they have meaning. So with the title and the meaning comes, or the name change, it means something. And then but they just, like it's a rank. Like, now you're called Mark, now you're called Mark Aurelius, and then you're Esau. They just change names, like very confusing. First and foremost, like, wow, I got my name. I have my name all my life. I'm gonna change it too, though. But this is legal. You gotta do it legal out here. They're just doing it on the whim. I think there's a system. This looks like a system. He used to be called this. Now he's called this. Right? Was that his street name? Also known as. It just seems extremely confusing for someone trying to figure it out. It seems like there's a lot of misleading information. I know a lot of people don't read the NIV because it's garbage. But I suspect that what this was transliterated from, probably the same thing. A lot of people say it has nothing to do with me because that was the old world. But guess what? All those philosophies, all those teachings and control systems are here. So it does matter. I was saying that to, like, what does that matter to me? It does matter because my people were inflicted with this stuff that was going on over there. And still, we are still today. So it's important for anybody to read this and see what's going on. Get the Torah, read the Torah, get the Quran, read the Quran, and you figure out these wars have been going on, obviously, forever. And they're still going on. And they're not going to stop. None of those two factions are ever going to stop trying to conquer each other. Never. Never. And they got quadrillions of dollars. Gold, oil, diamonds. G-O-D. Gold, oil, diamonds. G-O-D. Gold, oil, and diamonds. Gold, oil, and diamonds. And it's going to keep on going on forever and forever. And you're not going to be able to say, I want to change the world. Change yourself. Read this book. Read other books. Stay true to the Almighty. Let's continue.
The land allotted to the tribe of Judah, according to its clans, extended down to the territory of Edom, to the desert of Zin in the extreme south. Their southern boundary started from the bay at the southern end of the Dead Sea, crossed south of Scorpion Pass, continued on to Zin, and went over to the south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it ran past Hezron, up to Adar, and curved round to Karka. It then passed along to Asmon and joined the Wadi of Egypt, ending at the Mediterranean Sea. This is their southern boundary. The eastern boundary is the Dead Sea, as far as the mouth of the Jordan. The northern boundary started from the bay of the sea at the mouth of the Jordan, went up to Beth Hogla, and continued north of Beth Araba to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. The boundary then went up to Debir from the valley of Achor, and turned north to Gilgal, which faces the pass of Adamim, south of the gorge. It continued along to the waters of En-Shemesh, and came out at En-Rogel. Then it ran up the valley of Ben-Hinnom, along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, that is, Jerusalem. From there it climbed to the top of the hill west of the Hinnom Valley, at the northern end of the valley of Rephaim. From the hilltop, the boundary headed towards the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, came out of the towns of Mount Ephron, and went down towards Baalah, that is, Kiriath Jearim. Then it curved westward, from Baalah to Mount Seir, ran along the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is, Kesalon, continued down to Beth Shemesh, and crossed to Timnah. It went to the northern slope of Ekron, turned towards Shikkeron, passed along to Mount Baalah, and reached Jabneel. The boundary ended at the sea. The western boundary is the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. These are the boundaries around the people of Judah by their clans. In accordance with the Lord's command to him, Joshua gave to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a portion in Judah, Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron. Arba was the forefather of Anak. From Hebron, Caleb drove out the 3 Anakites, Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai, the sons of Anak. From there he marched against the people living in Debir, formerly called Kiriath Siphia, and Caleb said, I will give my daughter Aksah in marriage to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Siphia. Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's...
Okay, so just to show you what this book has, those are the maps that it tells you up there. Basically what he's talking about. I just saw another chart over here.
Brother took it. So Caleb gave his daughter Aksah to him in marriage. One day when she came to Othniel, she urged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What can I do for you? She replied, Do me a special favor. Since you have given me land in the Negev, give me also springs of water. So Caleb gave her the upper and lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of Judah, according to its clans. The southernmost towns of the tribe of Judah in the Negev towards the boundary of Edom were Kabzeel, Eder, Jagar, Kaina, Dimona, Adada, Kedef, Hazor, Ithnan, Ziph, Telem, Bealoth, Hazor Hadattah, Karioth Hezron, that is Hazor, Ammon, Shema, Malada, Hazar-Gada, Heshmon, Beth-Pelet, Hazar-Shual, Beersheba, Baiziothia, Baalah, Lethem, Ezem, El-Tolad, Kizel, Hormah, Ziklag, Madmana, Sansana, Lebaoth, Shilhim, Ain, and Rimmon, a total of 29 towns and their villages. In the western foothills, Eshtaol, Zorah, Ashna, Zanoah, and Ganim, Tapua, Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Sokop, Asika, Shearaim, Adithaim, and Gedera, or Gederothaim, 14 towns and their villages. Zenan, Hadashah, Migdal-Gad, Dilian, Mizpah, Joktheel, Lachish, Bozkath, Eglon, Kabon, Lamas, Kitlish, Gederoth, Beth-Dagon, Neamah, and Makkedah, 16 towns and their villages. Libnah, Ether, Ashan, Iptha, Ashna, Nizib, Keilah, Aksib, and Marisha, 9 towns and their villages. Ekron, with its surrounding settlements and villages. West of Ekron, all that were in the vicinity of Ashdod, together with their villages. Ashdod, its surrounding settlements and villages, and Gaza, its settlements and villages as far as the Wadi of Egypt and the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. In the hill country, Shemi, Jata, Soka, Dana, Kiriath Sana, that is Dibia, Einab, Eshtemo, Ainim, Goshan, Holan, and Gilo, 11 towns and their villages. Arab, Duma, Ishan, Janim, Beth Tapua, Afika, Hamta, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, and Zior, 9 towns and their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, Jata, Jezreel, Yokdeam, Zanoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 towns and their villages. Halchul, Bethzur, Jidor, Merath, Bethanoth, and Eltekon, 6 towns and their villages. Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 towns and their villages. In the wilderness, Beth Araba, Midin, Sikika, Nibshan, the city of Salt, and En-Gedi, 6 towns and their villages. Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. To this day, the Jebusites live there with the people of Judah. Joshua chapter 16. The land allotted to Joseph began at the Jordan east of the springs of Jericho, and went up from there through the desert into the hill country of Bethel. It went on from Bethel, that is, Luz, crossed over to the territory of the Archites in Ataroth, descended westwards to the territory of the Japhletites as far as the region of Lower Beth-horon, and on to Giza, ending at the Mediterranean Sea. So Manasseh and Ephraim, the descendants of Joseph, received their inheritance. This was the territory of Ephraim according to its clans. The boundary of their inheritance went from Ataroth-Addar in the east to Upper Beth-horon and continued to the Mediterranean Sea. From Mikmethath on the north, it curved eastward to Taanath-Shiloh, passing by it to Genoa on the east. Then it went down from Genoa to Ataroth and Nearah, touched Jericho, and came out of the Jordan. From Tapua, the border went west to the Keah ravine and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Ephraimites, according to its clans. It also included all the towns and their villages that were set aside for the Ephraimites within the inheritance of the Manassites. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Giza. To this day, the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labor. Joshua chapter 17. This was the land allotted to the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn, that is, for Machir, Manasseh's firstborn. Machir was the ancestor of the Gileadites, who had received Gilead and Bashan because the Macharites were great soldiers. So this land was allotted to the rest of the people of Manasseh. The clans of Abiezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Hepher, and Shemaiah. These are the other male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons but only daughters, whose names were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They went to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders, and said, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance amongst our relatives." So Joshua gave them an inheritance along with the brothers of their father, according to the Lord's command. Manasseh's share consisted of 10 tracts of land, besides Gilead and Bashan east of the Jordan, because the daughters of the tribe of Manasseh received an inheritance among the sons. The land of Gilead belonged.
This is a total contradictory to the term God loves everybody. No, he don't. I hear a lot of people say that when I used to go to the churches, that God loves everybody. Now, I know there's a statement in the New Testament that says, even if you're not the blood of Israelite, I love you too, or something like that, whatever. Something. But at this point, he don't love everybody. He just loves these people particularly. And he's allowing them to destroy other people. He's giving them supposedly giving them permission to take over large pieces of land and destroy everyone in that land. So, according to this, I'm listening to this right now and reading along with it. My impression right now is that God does only love the Israelites in the Old Testament. And we'll see what happens in the new one. I already read the new one. There's some good stuff here. This historical stuff. It's important to know, right? So that you can see what's going on today and be aware and know where it comes from. This is where it comes from. This is where it comes from. They believe that they can still do this under the pretenses of their Lord and God giving them permission, because you're my only people. So if you have word of mouth directly from the Almighty, and He said to you, do that, He's talking to you directly, that gives you the power. You don't need to know no more. And He says do this, and you know that is facts. And He's telling you and showing you and talking to you, and you can see. Now, you can't even say you can't see Him. Why is that? Because it's you. So, interesting, very interesting. It just gets more. I'm just really tired of reading this book, this particular Joshua and the ones before that, Numbers, and it's just. Now after this, we're gonna go to Judges. I wonder what that's gonna be like. I'm just saying, we'll get there. Here we go.
To the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh extended from Asher to Mikmethath, east of Shechem. The boundary ran southward from there to include the people living at En-Tappuah. Manasseh had the land of Tappuah, but Tappuah itself on the boundary of Manasseh belonged to the Ephraimites. Then the boundary continued south to the Cana ravine. There were towns belonging to Ephraim lying among the towns of Manasseh, but the boundary of Manasseh was the northern side of the ravine and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. On the south, the land belonged to Ephraim. On the north, to Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh reached the Mediterranean Sea and bordered Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Bethshan, Ibleam, and the people of Dor, Endor, Taanach, and Megiddo, together with their surrounding settlements. The third in the list is Naphoth. Yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not drive them out completely. The people of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you allotted us only one portion of land?"
And it sounds like slavery is okay. They forced him to work. Just something to think about. I think that I think about this. Make sure I keep it where it needs to be, but some of the stuff is really hard to follow and listen to, with all the rights, Emorites, Mamorites, Karasites, Lacharites, Staverites. But you need to know. We need to know it. We need to know it. This way you can unveil the veil. And this is why I'm doing this for me. And reading it so that you can hear it and come up with your own conclusion. Let's go.
One share for an inheritance. We are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly. "If you are so numerous," Joshua answered, "and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, Go up into the forest and clear land for yourselves, there in the land of the Perizzites and Rephaites. The people of Joseph replied, The hill country is not enough for us. And all the Canaanites who live in the plain have chariots fitted with iron, both those in Bethshan and its settlements and those in the valley of Jezreel. But Joshua said to the tribes of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, You are numerous and very powerful. You will have not only one portion of land allotted to you, but the forested hill country as well. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have chariots fitted with iron, and though they are strong, you can drive them out. Joshua,
He's giving them something that doesn't belong to him. Again, how can you give something to someone else that doesn't belong? You can't. Not nowadays. They're taking it. They're just taking it. They go up there, or just some people up there, you know what I'm saying, and just let them know that I give you permission to get rid of all of them. Just let that sink in for a minute. Just let that sink in. It's sad. I think it's sad. Now, I don't know my people's history. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm reading books about my people. I'm sure they had wars. Pretty sure that they've killed maybe millions of different tribes trying to gain land. It's the same story. Man, when it expands, he's trying to get this. But if you keep them down, if you keep the men and women down of a certain race by feeding them garbage, by making them work jobs, by putting them in an enclosure, limiting their resources, you're going to maintain in power. And I get that. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I understand it very well. The sad part of the story is that we were on the the bad end of the stick. However, I tend to think to myself, what if we won the wars, the colonial wars, right? What if we were to conquer the world and it was the other way around, right? Like the other way around. I mean, all the indigenous people kept their tribes. Like, what would it be like? Right? What would it be like without colonial religion? Now we do have religious teachings, but we're more spiritual with it. We're more soulful with that, more natural. There's a video game that I played. I'm gonna purchase the number 4. It's called Diablo. If you haven't seen that video game or heard about it, look it up, check it out. It has a lot to do with this. Great video game. It's like an overhead, and like you can see the characters. But the storyline, awesome. If you get a chance, if you play video games at all, check it out. It's called Diablo. This one's called Diablo 4. I'm gonna get it because it's super cheap now. It came out with like $100. I'm like, what? So now it's like 28 bucks, 30 bucks, 30 bucks. So it's not a lie when people tell you now, they're telling everybody. You can see everything and they're just putting it in your face, constantly programming you for what they want you to believe is what's to come. And you don't read, and you don't have no time. You gotta pay your bills. You gotta go up there. You gotta fix the car. You gotta take the kids. And then when things happen, you're gonna be blindsided because you weren't paying attention. You weren't listening to the situations and how they occur and how they're coming and why. And most of your time when you're relaxing and you're out of that time clock, you tend to watch television, watch novelas, drink beer, try to get away from all of that stuff, but it's not gonna go away. It's gonna be there. So the best way to deal with it, the best way to clear your mind of garbage and what's not going on is to look. News ain't gonna help you. They're just there to point you in different directions. That's it. Not showing you what's really going on. You sitting down and aligning yourself with everything, then you'll know. And when you know, you might go crazy, you might not. But try to keep your composure because it's deep. And this is part of that deepness, this book. There are other books. Oh man, I read a book. I couldn't even finish it. That book was very interesting though. Very interesting. So stay interested.
Chapter 18. The whole assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The country was brought under their control, but there were still 7 Israelite tribes who had not yet received their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long will you wait before you begin to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to make a survey of the land and to write a description of it according to the inheritance of each. Then they will return to me. You are to divide the land into 7 parts. Judah is to remain in its territory on the south, and the tribes of Joseph in their territory on the north. After you have written descriptions of the 7 parts of the land, bring them here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord our God. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priestly service of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance on the east side of the Jordan. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to them." As the men started on their way to map out the land, Joshua instructed them, "Go and make a survey of the land and write a description of it. Then return to me and I will cast lots for you here at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord." So the men left and went through the land. They wrote its description on a scroll, town by town, in 7 parts, and returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then cast lots for them in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and there he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their tribal divisions. The first lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin according to its clans. Their allotted territory lay between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. On the north side, their boundary began at the Jordan, passed the northern slope of Jericho, and headed west into the hill country, coming out of the wilderness of Beth-aven. From there it crossed to the south slope of Luz, that is Bethel, and went down to Ataroth-adah, on the hill south of Lower Beth-horon. From the hill facing Beth-horon on the south, the boundary turned south along the western side, and came out at Kiriath-baal, that is Kiriath-jearim, a town of the people of Judah. This was the western side. The southern side began at the outskirts of Kiriath-jearim on the west, and the boundary came out at the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The boundary went down to the foot of the hill facing the valley of Ben-Hinnom, north of the valley of Rephaim. It continued down the Hinnom valley along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, and so to En-rogel. It then curved north, went to En-shemesh, continued to Geliloth, which faces the pass of Adamim, and ran down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. It continued to the northern slope of Beth-arabah, and on down into the Arabah. It then went to the northern slope of Beth-hoglah, and came out at the northern bay of the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan in the south. This was the southern boundary. The Jordan formed the boundary on the eastern side. These were the boundaries that marked out the inheritance of the clans of Benjamin on all sides. The tribe of Benjamin, according to its clans, had the following cities: Jericho, Beth-hoglah, Emek-keziz, Beth-arabah, Zimraim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Ophrah, Kepha-ammoni, Ophni, and Geba, 12 towns and their villages. Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kephirah, Motzah, Rechem, Irpieth, Tarala, Zelah, Haeleph, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah and Kiriath, 14 towns and their villages. This was the inheritance of Benjamin for its clans. Joshua chapter 19. The second lot came out for the tribe of Simeon according to its clans. Their inheritance lay within the territory of Judah. It included Beersheba or Sheba, Meleda, Hazashuel, Bala, Itzem, Eltolad, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazasusa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuhen, 13 towns and their villages. Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashon, 4 towns and their villages, and all the villages around these towns as far as Baalath-Beer, Ramah in the Negev. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Simeonites according to its clans. The inheritance of the Simeonites was taken from the share of Judah because Judah's portion was more than they needed. So the Simeonites received their inheritance within the territory of Judah. The third lot came up for Zebulun according to its clans. The boundary of their inheritance went as far as Sarid. Going west, it ran to Maralah, touched Jabesheth, and extended to the ravine near Jokneam. It turned east from Sarid towards the sunrise to the territory of Kisloth-Tabor, and went on to Dabarath and up to Japhiah. Then it continued eastward to Gath-Hepher and Eth-Kazin. It came out at Rimmon and turned towards Nia. There the boundary went round on the north to Hanathon and ended at the valley of Ithael. Included were Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Idalah, and Bethlehem. There were 12 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of Zebulun according to its clans. The fourth lot came out for Issachar according to its clans. Their territory included Jezreel, Kesaloth, Shunem, Hapharaim, Shion, Anharath, Rabbith, Kashion, Ebeth, Remeth, Enganim, Enhada, and Beth Pazez. The boundary touched Tabor, Shahazuma, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan. There were 16 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar according to its clans. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of Asher according to its clans. Their territory included Helkath, Halai, Beaton, Akshaph, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. On the west, the boundary touched Carmel and Shihor-Libnath. It then turned east towards Beth Dagon, touched Zebulun and the valley of Ithael, and went north to Beth Emek and Nahayel, passing Kabul on the left. It went to Abdon, Rehob, Hammon, and Kana as far as Greater Sidon. The boundary then turned back towards Ramah and went to the fortified city of Tyre, turned towards Hussah, and came out of the Mediterranean Sea in the region of Akzib, Ammah, Aphek, and Rehob. There were 22 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Asher according to its clans. The sixth lot came out for Naphtali according to its clans. Their boundary went from Heleph and the large tree at Zeananim, passing Adami Nekeb and Jabneel to Lakam, and ending at the Jordan. The boundary ran west through Aznoth-Tabor and came out at Hukkok. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified cities were Ziddim, Zer, Hamath, Rakath, Kinnereth, Adama, Ramah, Hazor, Kedesh, Edrei, En-Hazor, Iron, Migdal-El, Horem, Beth-Anath, and Beth-Shemesh. There were...
At this point, the whole world. Period. That's when they started. But at this point, the entire world.
19 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali according
America,
to its clans.
Mexico, Argentina,
the seventh lot came
Canada,
out for the tribe of
Africa,
Dan according to its
Australia,
clans.
just the whole world at this
The
point.
territory of their inheritance included Zorah,
That's
Eshtaol,
the goal.
Shemesh,
Almost
Shealabim,
accomplished.
Ajalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Elteke, Gibbethon, Beala, Jehud, Bene-Birak, Gath Rimmon, Mijakon, and Rakon, with the area facing Joppa. When the territory of the Danites was lost to them, they went up and attacked Lishem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupied it. They settled in Lishem and named it Dan after their ancestor. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Dan according to its clans. When they had finished dividing the land into its allotted portions, the Israelites gave Joshua son of Nun an inheritance among them, as the Lord had commanded. They gave him the town he asked for, Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, and he built up the town and settled there. These are the territories that Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel assigned by lot at Shiloh, in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And so they finished dividing the land.
I just want to check something real quick. Something that just jumped into my mind. It just jumped in. I'm just looking for something. Give me a sec. So I just wanted to figure out, who the Lord of the Israelites was. And here it says, in both historical and biblical context, the Lord of the Israelites is Yahweh, not Jesus Christ. This is the divide. Now watch this. So they don't follow what you're told to follow. They don't. Throughout the Hebrew Bible, the Tanakh, he's identified as the national God of the Iron Age, kingdoms of Israel and Judah. While Lord is a title of authority, the name revealed to the Israelites in specific and hold deep significance. So YHWH, which just says Yahweh, that's what they say. That's what they say it is. The Tetragrammaton, right there. So if you can find that here, you get a bit more knowledge. So I'm gonna write it down. The Tetragrammaton. So Yahweh is the Tetragrammaton. It sounds like like math, and I think it has to do with a box. Tetragrammaton. Okay, this is the full letter biblical name of God, which is Yahweh, because it was considered too holy to speak aloud in Jewish tradition. The word Adonai, look that up too, Adonai, meaning my Lord, which is a title, they just said it, was substituted during reading Yahweh, the most accepted scholarly reconstruction of how Yahweh was originally pronounced. That's his name. El Elohim. El is a generic northwest Semitic word for God. In the Bible, it is often used as a title for Yahweh, El Shaddai, God Mighty, God Almighty. Interestingly, the name Israel, Yisrael, is Yirael, literally means one who struggles with God. Right here. Interestingly, well, anyway, I read it. Interestingly, the name Israel, Israel, Yisrael, Yisra/L, literally means one who struggles with God. The book describes a unique covenant between the Lord and the Lord. So they don't worship Jesus. Yeah, I think you guys already know that if you're religious. And if you don't and you're religious, now you know. So, okay. I just wanted to figure that out. Let's do the tetragrammaton now that we're at it. Okay, so I'm going to say define the tetragramma. It's already spelled out. All right, I'm going to read this real quick. So, the tetragrammaton, I'm going to read it for you right there, refers to the four-letter Hebrew name of God, which is like like 3-4 signs. Goes like this. It's here. Let me see if I can kind of big it. No, I can't big it. But it's right there. That's how it's written in Hebrew. See it? Okay. Commonly transliterated into Latin English letters as YHWH. The word itself comes from Greek tetragrammaton, literally meaning 4 letters. That's what it means. So it's a box. 4 letters. Tetra equals 4. Gramma equals letter. So 4 letters. So they get that say WHW. 4 words. Meaning and origin. The name is most famously revealed in the books of Exodus 3:14 during the account of the burning bush. When Moses asks God's name, he responds, I am that I am who I am. Etymology. Most scholars believe the name is derived from the Hebrew verb root HYH, to be. Definition, depending on the grammatical form, it is from interpreted to mean he who is the self-existent one, or he who causes to become. It signifies a God who is eternal and the source of all existence. So it's a big difference between, God and the Almighty. Not the same thing. In ancient Hebrew, only consonants were written, vowels were spoken, but not recorded. Over time, Jewish tradition deemed the name too sacred to be spoken aloud, based on interpretation of the 3rd commandment. Adonai, when reading the scriptures, it became customary to substitute the word Adonai, which means Lord, or Hashem, the name, wherever the Tetragrammaton appeared. So they call them, see all these names, like, what? Yo, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. But I get it because people have different names even now. Me too. So I kind of understand it. I kind of understand. Let's see. So we consider the original pronunciation based on early Greek transcriptions and the way the name is used in shorter forms like Hallelujah. That's Yahweh, meaning praise Yah. Jehovah is the version of rose in the Middle Ages. Christian scribes took the consonants YHWH and combined them with the vowel points for Adonai, which had been added to the text as a reminder to say Lord. This hybrid word eventually entered English as Jehovah. And here's a little scale thing right there, if you see that. Can you see that? So let's get back to it. Because Joshua's getting done today. Let's go.
Chapter 20. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Tell the Israelites to designate the cities of refuge, as I instructed you through Moses, so that anyone who kills a person accidentally and unintentionally may flee there and find protection from the avenger of blood. When they flee to one of these cities, they are to stand in the entrance of the city gate and state their case before the elders of that city. Then the elders are to admit the fugitive into their city and provide a place to live among them. If the avenger of blood comes in pursuit, the elders must not surrender the fugitive, because the fugitive killed their neighbor unintentionally and without malice aforethought. They are to
Pause. Let's find out who that person is, or who that idea is. Avenger of blood. All right, here we go. All right, so this is a general term, but this is something I'm getting from Gemini AI. Just asking a question, putting in some information, it spits out some stuff that it pulls from the net. Might be a little, incorrect or not true. So do your own research, as always. In the Bible, the Avenger of Blood, Hebrew Goel Hadam, was the nearest male relative of a person who had been killed. His legal duty was to seek justice by executing the killer. This practice was part of ancient Near Eastern law, but the Mosaic law, the law given to Moses, added specific regulations to prevent endless cycles of family feuds and to protect those who killed someone by accident. Who could be an avenger? That's interesting. Thank you. The role usually fell to the next of kin, a brother, son, or father. The term Goel, redeemer, is the same word used for a kinsman, redeemer, like Boaz in the book of Ruth. While a redeemer usually brought back family, land, a freedom, the Goel Hadam redeemed the shed blood of his relative by ensuring the murderer faced the death penalty. All right, there we go. So we got a little information of who the Avenger of Blood is. It's the next of kin to the one that's his life was taken. So it falls to a brother, our Father. Let's go back. This is chapter 20 in the book of Joshua.
Stay in that city until they have stood trial before the assembly, and until the death of the high priest who is serving at that time. Then they may go back to their own home in the town from which they fled. So they set apart Kedesh in Galilee in the hill country of Naphtali, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. East of the Jordan, on the other side from Jericho, they designated Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau in the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead in the tribe of Gad, and Golan in Bashan in the tribe of Manasseh. Any of the Israelites or any foreigner residing among them who killed someone accidentally could flee to these designated cities and not be killed by the avenger of blood prior to standing trial before the assembly.
We just read that.
Joshua chapter 21. Now the family heads of the Levites approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the other tribal families of Israel at Shiloh in Canaan, and said to them, "The Lord commanded through Moses that you give us towns to live in with pasture lands for our livestock." So, as the Lord had commanded, the Israelites gave the Levites the following towns and pasture lands out of their own inheritance. The first lot came out for the Kohathites according to their clans. The Levites, who were descendants of Aaron the priest, were allotted 13 towns from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The rest of Kohath's descendants were allotted 10 towns from the clans of the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and half of Manasseh. The descendants of Gershon were allotted 13 towns from the clans of the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The descendants of Merari, according to their clans, received 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites allotted to the Levites these towns and their pasture lands, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. From the tribes of Judah and Simeon, they allotted the following towns by name. These towns were assigned to the descendants of Aaron, who were from the Kohathite clans of the Levites, because the first lot fell to them. They gave them Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, with its surrounding pasture land in the hill country of Judah. Arba was the forefather of Anak. But the fields and villages around the city they had given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. So, to the descendants of Aaron the priest, they gave Hebron, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Libnah, Jatir, Eshtemoa, Holon, Debir, Ain, Jatta, and Beth Shemesh, together with their pasture lands. 9 towns from these 2 tribes. And from the tribe of Benjamin, they gave them Gibeon, Jeba, Anathoth, and Almon, together with their pasture lands. 4 towns. The total number of towns for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, came to 13, together with their pasture lands. The rest of the Kohathite clans of the Levites were allotted towns from the tribe of Ephraim. In the hill country of Ephraim, they were given Shechem, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, and Giza, Kibzaim, and Beth-horon, together with their pasture lands. 4 towns. Also, from the tribe of Dan, they received Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Ajalon, and Gathrimmon, together with their pasture lands. 4 towns. From half the tribe of Manasseh they received Taanach and Gathrimmon, together with their pasture lands. 2 towns. All these 10 towns and their pasture lands were given to the rest of the Kohathite clans. The Levite clans of the Gershonites were given, from the half-tribe of Manasseh, Golan in Bashan, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, and Be-eshtaroth, together with their pasture lands. 2 towns. From the tribe of Issachar, Kishion, Daberath, Jarmuth, and En-ganim, together with their pasture lands. 4 towns. From the tribe of Asher, Mishal, Abdon, Helkath, and Rehob, together with their pasture lands. 4 towns. From the tribe of Naphtali, Kedesh in Galilee, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Hamoth-dor and Kartan, together with their pasture lands, 3 towns. The total number of towns of the Gershonite clans came to 13, together with their pasture lands. The Merarite clans, the rest of the Levites, were given from the tribe of Zebulun, Jokneam, Karta, Dimnah, and Nahalal, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Reuben, Bezer, Jehaz, Kedemoth, and Mephaath, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Gad, Ramoth in Gilead, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Mahanaim, Heshbon, and Jazer, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns in all. The total number of towns allotted to the Merarite clans, who were the rest of the Levites, came to 12. The towns of the Levites in the territory held by the Israelites were 48 in all, together with their pasture lands. Each of these towns had pasture lands surrounding it. This was true for all these towns. So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. Joshua chapter 22. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, "You have done all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and you have obeyed me in everything I commanded. For a long time now, to this very day, you have not deserted your fellow Israelites, but have carried out the mission the Lord your God gave you. Now that the Lord your God has given them rest as he promised, return to your homes in the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you on the other side of the Jordan. But be very careful to keep the commandment and the law that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you. To love the Lord your God, to walk in obedience to him, to keep his commands, to hold fast to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul." Then Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their homes. To the half-tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given land in Bashan, and to the other half of the tribe, Joshua gave land on the west side of the Jordan along with their fellow Israelites. When Joshua sent them home, he blessed them, saying, "Return to your homes with your great wealth, with large herds of livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, and iron, and a great quantity of clothing, and divide the plunder from your enemies with your fellow Israelites." So the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites at Shiloh in Canaan to return to Gilead, their own land, which they had acquired in accordance with the command of the Lord through Moses. When they came to Geliloth, near the Jordan in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh built an imposing altar there by the Jordan. And when the Israelites heard that they had built the altar on the border of Canaan at Geliloth, near the Jordan on the Israelite side, the whole assembly of Israel gathered at Shiloh to go to war against them. So the Israelites sent Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, to the land of Gilead, to Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. With him they sent 10 of the chief men, one from each of the tribes of Israel, each the head of a family division among the Israelite clans. When they went to Gilead, to Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, they said to them, "The whole assembly of the Lord says, 'How could you break faith with the God of Israel like this? How could you turn away from the Lord and build yourselves an altar in rebellion against him now? Was not the sin of Peor enough for us? Up to this very day we have not cleansed ourselves from that sin, even though a plague fell on the community of the Lord. And are you now turning away from the Lord? If you rebel against the Lord today, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole community of Israel. If the land you possess is defiled, come over to the Lord's land, where the Lord's tabernacle stands, and share the land with us. But do not rebel against the Lord or against us by building an altar for yourselves, other than the altar of the Lord our God. When Achan, son of Zerah, was unfaithful in regard to the devoted things, did not wrath come on the whole community of Israel? He was not the only one who died for his sin. Then Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh replied to the heads of the clans of Israel. The mighty one, God the Lord, the mighty one, God the Lord, he knows, and let Israel know. If this has been in rebellion or disobedience to the Lord, do not spare us this day. If we have built our own altar to turn away from the Lord and to offer burnt offerings and grain offerings, or to sacrifice fellowship offerings on it, may the Lord himself call us to account. No, we did it for fear that someday your descendants might say to ours, what do you have to do with the Lord, the God of Israel? The Lord has made the Jordan a boundary between us and you. You Reubenites and Gadites, you have no share in the Lord. So your descendants might cause ours to stop fearing the Lord. That is why we said, let us get ready and build an altar, but not for burnt offerings or sacrifices. On the contrary, it is to be a witness between us and you and the generations that follow, that we will worship the Lord at his sanctuary with our burnt offerings, sacrifices, and fellowship offerings. Then in the future, your descendants will not be able to say to ours, you have no share in the Lord. And we said, if they ever say this to us, or to our descendants, we will answer, look at the replica of the Lord's altar, which our ancestors built, not for burnt offerings and sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you. Far be it from us to rebel against the Lord and turn away from him today by building an altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, and sacrifices, other than the altar of the Lord our God that stands before his tabernacle. When Phinehas, the priest, and the leaders of the community, the heads of the clans of the Israelites, heard what Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh had to say, they were pleased. And Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, said to Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, today we know that the Lord is with us, because you have not been unfaithful to the Lord in this matter. Now you have rescued the Israelites from the Lord's hand. Then Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, and the leaders returned to Canaan from their meeting with the Reubenites and Gadites in Gilead, and reported to the Israelites. They were glad to hear the report and praised God, and they talked no more about going to war against them to devastate the country where the Reubenites and the Gadites lived. And the Reubenites and the Gadites gave the altar this name, a witness between us that the Lord is God. Joshua chapter 23. After a long time had passed, and the Lord had given Israel rest from all their enemies around them, Joshua, by then a very old man, summoned all Israel, their elders, leaders, judges, and officials, and said to them, I am very old. You yourselves have seen everything the Lord your God has done to all these nations for your sake. It was the Lord your God who fought for you. Remember how I have allotted as an inheritance for your tribes all the land of the nations that remain, the nations I conquered, between the Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea in the west. The Lord your God himself will push them out for your sake. He will drive them out before you, and you will take possession of their land, as the Lord your God promised you. Be very strong. Be careful to obey all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, without turning aside to the right or to the left. Do not associate with these nations that remain among you. Do not invoke the names of their gods or swear by them. You must not serve them or bow down to them. But you are to hold fast to the Lord your God as you have until now. The Lord has driven out before you great and powerful nations. To this day, no one has been able to withstand you. One of you routs 1,000, because the Lord your God fights for you just as he promised.
And look at just right now. Like I was saying, he was giving them land, but he wasn't doing the work. So he said, the Lord has driven out before you great and powerful nations. No, you didn't. I did that. If I was an Israelite, he said, go over there and take that. It's yours. So again, things that you need to be aware of if you're able to, and discern, and like listen to that what that says. But earlier he said this, and you just got to be able to put those phrases and those terms and the wording together, and then you'll be able to. Something's gonna smack. Something. I guarantee you.
So be very careful to love the Lord your God. But if you turn away and ally yourselves with the survivors of these nations that remain among you, and if you intermarry with them and associate with them, then you may be sure that the Lord your God will no longer drive out these nations before you. Instead, they will become snares and traps for you, whips on your backs and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this good land which the Lord your God has given you. Now I am about to go the way of all the earth. You know with all your heart and soul that not one of all the good promises the Lord your God gave you has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled. Not one has failed. But just as all the good things the Lord your God has promised you have come to you, so he will bring on you all the evil things he has threatened, until the Lord your God has destroyed you from this good land he has given you.
That's not loving or caring or benevolence. That has nothing to do with the Creator. Absolutely nothing. You talk about destruction, threatening. He's threatened things he has threatened until the Lord your God has destroyed you from this. But I thought you had love for me, bro. It just doesn't make sense for, I get discipline and, I get discipline. But this is extreme. And again, due to this information, you see what's going on today. The same thing. Perpetuated by the same people. Hello. Anim Edits 1212. Hi, thank you for saying hello. So let's continue. We're getting close to being done.
If you
With
violate
Joshua.
the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods and bow down to them, the Lord's anger will burn against you, and you will quickly.
So there you go. He was not the only God, even though maybe they may have been made up. If you violate the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods, lowercase letters, and bow down to them, the Lord's anger will burn against you, and you will quickly perish from the good land he has given you. Doesn't say anything about I'm going to banish you to hell. Doesn't say none of that. I'm going to destroy you physically. You're done. It's a wrap for you if you take, up under another skirt. Ruling with an iron fist. Not asking for, what about the kids? And again, no history. This history, and I love history. I was reading a long time ago the Byzantine Wars, I think they call them. But that was a while ago. I haven't read anything historical. But I will start to, because I love history. To a certain extent. Well, not really. If I get into it, I get into it. But, that's what I'm interpreting. That's what I'm hearing. That's what you heard. You may have a different perspective. I'm pretty sure you do. I know you do. But that's good, because we get into, to read it, and to read it for ourselves, and to, make comments like, I don't understand this. That doesn't make any sense. You got to read it. It's a must. This is one of the must reads in my lifetime. We're almost there. I just needed to know that there's a lot of other books that we're going to be reading. The Key of Solomon. The other books that were gone from there. The Ethiopian Bible, which has 88 chapters. This one, somebody said has 66. The Gnosis, the Gnostics. Those are good books. We'll just get it popping.
Perish from the good land he has given you. Joshua chapter 24. Then Joshua assembled all the tribes of Israel at Shechem. He summoned the elders, leaders, judges, and officials of Israel, and they presented themselves before God. Joshua said to all the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the river Euphrates and worshipped other gods. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him throughout Canaan and gave him many descendants. I gave him Isaac, and to Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. I assigned the hill country of Seir to Esau, but Jacob and his family went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I afflicted the Egyptians by what I did there, and I brought you out. When I brought your people out of Egypt, you came to the sea, and the Egyptians pursued them with chariots and horsemen as far as the Red Sea. But they cried to the Lord for help, and he put darkness between you and the Egyptians. He brought the sea over them and covered them. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. Then you lived in the wilderness for a long time. I brought you to the land of the Amorites who lived east of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I gave them into your hands. I destroyed them from before you, and you took possession of their land. When Balak, son of Zippor, the king of Moab, prepared to fight against Israel, he sent for Balaam, son of Beor, to put a curse on you. But I would not listen to Balaam, so he blessed you again and again, and I delivered you out of his hand. Then you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho. The citizens of Jericho fought against you, as did also the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites. But I gave them into your hands. I sent the hornet ahead of you, which drove them out before you, also the 2 Amorite kings. You did not do it with your own sword and bow. So I gave you a land on which you did not toil, and cities you did not build, and you live in them and eat from vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. Now, fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your ancestors worshipped beyond the river Euphrates and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Then the people answered, "Far be it from us to forsake the Lord to serve other gods. It was the Lord our God himself who brought us and our parents up out of Egypt, from that land of slavery, and performed those great signs before our eyes. He protected us on our entire journey and among all the nations through which we traveled. And the Lord drove out before us all the nations, including the Amorites who lived in the land. We too will serve the Lord, because he is our God." Joshua said to the people, "You are not able to serve the Lord." He is a holy God.
As I figured out the other day, the name of Egypt is a Greek name. The Egypt actually is actually Kemet. So I was listening to this gentleman that stated that those who have incomplete knowledge because they were impatient were the ones that left. So these are the ones, the Israelites, that they're calling themselves. But they was in Egypt, so the God that they chose had to be a God from Egypt. Had to be. Because how did they know about gods if they didn't learn it from the Egyptians, the Kemets? So one of those gods in that information system and that educational system was a God that came from Egypt, from that history. So that God that came from Egypt was an Egyptian, a Kemet God that was against what was going on there with these particular people. That's what I'm surmising from what we just read. They keep on saying you brought us out of Egypt. Did he come into Egypt or was he already there?
He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your rebellion and your sins. If you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, he will turn and bring disaster on you and make an end of you after he has been good to you. But the people said to Joshua, "No, we will serve the Lord." Then Joshua said, "You are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen to serve the Lord." "Yes, we are witnesses," they replied. "Now then," said Joshua, "throw away the foreign gods that are among you, and yield your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel." And the people said to Joshua, "We will serve the Lord our God and obey him." On that day, Joshua made a covenant for the people, and there at Shechem he reaffirmed for them decrees and laws. And Joshua recorded these things in the book of the law of God. Then he took a large stone and set it up there under the oak near the holy place of the Lord. "See," he said to all the people, "this stone will be a witness against us. It has heard all the words the Lord has said to us. It will be a witness against you if you are untrue to your God." Then Joshua dismissed the people, each to their own inheritance. After these things, Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. And they buried him in the land of his inheritance, at Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gaash. Israel served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua and of the elders who outlived him and who had experienced everything the Lord had done for Israel. And Joseph's bones, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried at Shechem in the tract of land that Jacob bought for 100 pieces of silver from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem. This became the inheritance of Joseph's descendants. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, died and was buried at Gibeah, which had been allotted to his son Phinehas in the hill country of Ephraim.
Done. Joshua's done. Now there's a couple of things I want to look up real quick and we'll be done for today. Thank you for coming in and listening and making comments, and listening. Really, I appreciate it very much. And so will your soul, I guarantee it. Okay, so let's do this. So I want to look about when the God said, "I sent the hornet before you." I want to see what that means. Oh, so the hornet, Hebrew Tisra, appears as a divine weapon used by God to clear the way for the Israelites as they entered the promised land. It is mentioned specifically in three passages: Exodus, Deuteronomy, and Joshua. There are three primary ways scholars and theologians interpret what the hornet actually was. Some believe God sent actual swarms of hornets to attack the Canaanites. The strategy large hornets in the Middle East are known for their aggressive nature and painful, sometimes dangerous stings. A massive swarm would cause chaos, breaking the enemy ranks, driving people out a fortified city by hiding places where soldiers couldn't reach them. This allowed the Israelites to take over the land without having to fight every single battle themselves. Many scholars argue that the hornet is a figure of speech representing the overwhelming fear of God sent into the hearts of Israel's enemies. The root of the word Tisra, which is the Tsirah, is related to the words meaning to strike down or to prostrate. In this view, the sting of the hornet is the psychological sting of dread that made the Canaanite kings lose their will to fight. That's pretty strong. So then a more historical political interpretation suggests that the hornet refers to the pharaohs of Egypt. The symbolism: some ancient Egyptian insignias used the bee or wasp as a royal symbol. Before Israel arrived in Canaan, the Egyptian army had conducted several military campaigns in the region, weakening the local city-states. In the sense, God used the hornet, Egypt, to destabilize the land before the Israelites ever set foot in it. That's the hornet. I just wanted to mention one more thing, and I'm done. I read this book about this king, King Leopold. And the book was, I don't know, but then I found out who this guy was. All right, here's King Leopold. I'm just gonna read what I pulled up here, and this is just kind of so you can understand that this existed, and so did this. This was maybe not too far along, maybe in the early 1900s or later than that. 1908. I'm gonna read this to you real quick. So the book that I read was called Leopold's Ghost. So this is, I just basically put how many were, how many were ran over, how many were killed, how many were, executed or just demolished. So estimates of the number of people who died as a result of King Leopold II's brutal regime in the Congo Free State range from 1 million to 15 million, with a consensus growing around 10 million. The population decline was caused by a combination of murder, starvation, disease, and a reduced birth rate. Forced labor: Leopold ran the Congo as his personal fiefdom, primarily to extract rubber and ivory. The local population was forced into labor to meet stringent. So this is not too long ago, right? This is a long time ago, still going on. Still doing it back then. Still doing it now. Brutal enforcement. The Force Publique, Leopold's private army, enforced these quotas with extreme violence. Punishments for failing to meet the rubber quotas included torture, execution, and the amputation of hands from men, women, and children. Disease and famine, the complete disruption of Congolese society, forced displacement, and the spread of new diseases like sleeping sickness and smallpox led to widespread famine and epidemics, which accounted for a large portion of deaths. Chemical warfare, still going on today. International outcry reports from missionaries, journalists like Edmund Dean Morel, and a British diplomat, Roger Casement, those names sound so fictitious, exposed the horrors. So they exposed the horrors, leading to the first major international human rights movement of the 20th century. This pressure eventually forced Leopold to relinquish control of the territory to the Belgian government. So he's from Belgium. He relinquished that land to his country. But again, if you get to research, King Leopold killed, looks like, ranges from 1 million, 15 million, with the consensus growing around 10 million. So that looks like 25 million. Let that sink in. All right. Thank you for joining. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting. Love you so natural. Today is Soulful Saturday. Be soulful to yourself. Meditate. Eliminate all the distractions. Line yourself up. Get rid of all those possible drama and bills and car notes and babies and family and gossip and things that are tearing you apart. Bring them back together. Get rid of them. Like I told you, you can formulate a what's called grounding. Put your name in gold letters around your grounding. I call it a tube. You can call it a way. Put your name around it. Everything's got to come through here. You got to get it in here. You're not going to literally make it, but you can if you want. And then push everything out. When you push it out, either get a baseball that you like that, knock it out of your atmosphere. Or you can get a basketball player. You can get, some Tommy guns where they go up in the air, everything. And then you will see how light you feel. Love you so natural. Thank you for coming in. See you on the next one.